Chapter 2 Business Studies for you in today's class. Good morning children, this is Anandi once again for class 11 Business Studies for you, and today's video session is going to be more interesting where we have learnt. We'll just have a recap what we have learnt in the previous classes. So in the previous classes you would have learnt about the history of trade and commerce, that how a business will operate through the various trade and commerce. And the next one we learnt about concept of business, the meaning, characteristic features and basic development of a business. And continued with that we have differentiated what is BPE, business, profession and employment. The next comes the various types of industries and how a business activity has been classified into industry and commerce, in what way commerce is supporting an industry to make an effective business strategy in the market. All these things we would have learnt in the previous lesson, that is nothing but the nature and purpose of the business. The next chapter which we are going to focus is going to be the forms of business organization. So welcome to the next chapter, forms of business organization. When you just look into the introduction of forms of business organization, a business enterprise is an organization which is engaged with some business or commercial activity. Every business enterprise is a separate or a distinct unit of business. If you just look into it, it is a separate unit of a business. All these definitions you would have learnt what is business. Actually, the forms of business organization, it has been classified into three segments. One is a private, another one is a public, another one is a joint sector. Again I repeat, private, public and joint sector. These are the various forms of business organization. When you just look into this chapter, the main objective of this particular chapter is going to be, we are going to identify the different forms of business organization, which I already told you, that is private, public and joint sector. And in that we are going to look into the detail about the features, merits and limitations of selected form of business organization. See, for example, there one particular organization will be better, partnership will be better, sole proprietorship will be better. Like this you will be having various plus and minus in each and every forms of organization. The next comes the distinguish between the various forms of organization. Which is better, whether I can go for a sole proprietorship or else I can go for a partnership or else I can go for a joint sector. All this comes under this category. The next comes, what are the factors which will analyze determining the choice of an appropriate form of a business organization. See, for example, if I am going to start with a boutique shop, I can't go and ask for a partnership, or else I need not to go for a joint sector. It may be a sole proprietorship. Like this, each business is having a unique characteristic features, so that we should analyze the factors which determine the choice of an appropriate form of a business organization. As I told you earlier, business enterprise is an institutional arrangement to form any business activity. Again I repeat, a business enterprise is an institutional arrangement to form any business activity. So when you just look into the classification of business entity, the business entity has been classified into three broad categories. One is a private, another one is a public, another one is a joint sector. But in this particular topic which we are going to focus on, major private sector. What is a private sector? A business enterprises which is owned, controlled and managed by a private individuals are known as a private sector. For example, Reliance India Limited, Tata Company, Birla Company, Wipro, all this comes under the private sector. What is public sector? The business enterprises which are owned and controlled and managed by the central or a state government are known as a public sector enterprises. These enterprises work with a main motive of servicing. That is example, GAIL and SAIL. What is SAIL? S-A-I-L. Steel Authority of India Limited. GAIL is nothing but a Gas Authority of India Limited. LIC. All this comes under the public sector. Actually, they are working for the common people. The next comes the category of joint sector enterprises. The business enterprises which is owned, controlled and managed by a private entrepreneur and government. The enterprises, the day-to-day management lies in the hands of the private entrepreneurs, whereas the government control and supervise its members and board of directors. Example, Maruti Udayog and Cochin Refineries all comes under the joint sector. In this chapter, we are going to focus only on the private sector. In the private sector, the business organization has been classified into 5 different groups. One is a sole proprietorship, another one is a partnership, third one is a Hindu undivided family, fourth one is a cooperative society and the fifth one is a companies. Again I repeat, all this comes under the category of private sector. So this chapter forms a business organization which we are going to focus only on the private sector. Again, I repeat, the business organization in the private sector has been divided into 5 categories. One is a sole proprietorship, another one is a partnership, Hindu undivided family, the next comes a cooperative society, another one is a company. So in today's class, we are going to focus only on the sole proprietorship. What is sole proprietorship? A sole proprietorship means business owned, financed and controlled by a single person who is the recipient of all profit and bearer of all risk. See, for example, when it comes to the sole proprietorship, if I'm going to own a business, I'm the only person who is going to take the profit and I'm going to bear the risk. It is suitable in areas of personalized service like beauty parlor, hair cutting, saloons and small scale activities, retail shops, and all these activities comes under the sole proprietorship, where I am going to be the one man army. I am going to earn the profit or else I may bear the risk. Let us look into the close features of a sole proprietorship. When you just look into the sole proprietorship, it is going to be, first feature is single ownership. It is wholly owned by one individual. All the capital is supplied by the single individual from his own wealth or from borrowed fund, whatever it may be, but it is going to be only the single ownership. The next comes the control. What is the control? Control, in a sense, sole proprietorship has full power of decision making. What is the meaning of full power of decision making? In a sense, they will be having control over all the money, whatever they are going to invest. See, for example, the proprietor and the sole owner of a firm have a full control over it. The ownership and the management lies in the hands of one person only. Some person or manager may be employed to help the owner, but ultimate control lies with the sole trader himself. The third one comes under the category of no separate legal entity. What is the meaning of a no separate legal entity? A sole proprietorship has no legal identity separate from that of owner. For example, laws makes no difference between the owner and an enterprise. If a businessman is committing certain mistake, obviously the owner of that particular business will be arrested in this case. The next comes the category of unlimited liability. What is the meaning of an unlimited liability? In sole proprietorship firm, the proprietor is personally liable for all the debts of the business. In case of business losses, if a business assets are not sufficient and meet all the business liabilities, the proprietor may have to sell the personal property to pay the liability. The fifth feature is no legal formalities. What's the meaning of a no legal formalities? In a sense, it is not required, there is no separate law governing this form of business. Only in some cases a license might be required, but otherwise forming or closing a sole proprietorship is very simple. The formalities of this particular business is very, very simple. The last feature is nothing but a sole risk bearer and profit recipient. He bears the complete risk and there is nobody to share the profit or loss with him. So he is a profit recipient and he is going to be the risk bearer of his own company. So these are the basic features of a sole proprietorship. When you just look into the merits of the sole proprietorship, the first which we need to focus is easy to start and close. So it can be easily started and closed without any legal formalities. The next one is a quick decision making. A sole trader is not required to consult or inform anybody about his own decisions. See, for example, I am having a company. If I need to close my company, I can make my own decisions. The next comes a sense of accomplishment. There is a sense of personal satisfaction. It means either the risk or else liable, whatever it may be, it comes only within me. The next comes an unlimited liability. The liability of the owner is unlimited in the case of assets of business are not sufficient to meet its debts. The personal property of the owner can be used for paying the debts. The next comes the no legal formalities. See, when I want to start my sole proprietorship concern, it's very easy for me to start my concern. I can easily start, manage and dissolve the business organization. The last but not least is going to be the sole risk bearer and the profit recipient. See, for example, in my company, I'm going to be the risk bearer as well as the profit earner of my own company. So I don't have to report to anyone because I'm the boss of my company. These are the various merits of a sole proprietorship. Followed with the merits, it's not only the merits, the limitations are also there for the sole proprietorship comes under the limited financial resources. It means funds are limited to the owner's personal savings and the borrowing capacity. The borrowing capacity of that particular owner should be limited. The next one is a limited managerial ability. A sole trader can't be a good in all the aspects of the business. He can't afford to employ experts also. For example, if I'm going to run a business in short, I should manage both the production as well as the sales department. I can't own a professional guy for a sales or a professional guy for a production or whatever it may be. It may be a burden to me. The next comes in unlimited liability. Of course, a sole trader compels him to avoid the risky and bold business decisions. Yeah, of course, if I'm going to be a small entrepreneur, I can't take even though I can take my decisions on my own, my liability is very unlimited. Of course, I can't take an hasty decisions once in a while. The next one is an uncertain life. Yeah, of course, death, insolvency, lunacy, or illness for the proprietor affect the business that can lead it to a closure. For example, my life is very uncertain. So what will happen to my business after this moment? All this will be a question mark for a sole proprietorship. The last but not least is a limited scope of expansion. If I need to expand my business, either my hire or a legal hire need to take care of the business for the expansion. Due to the limited capital and the managerial skills, I can't expect or expand my business on my large scale, since I'm going to be the only person who's going to bear the risk. So whatever the risk which is my limitations, I can able to do it further. So when you come to the suitability of the sole proprietorship, the sole tradership is suitable for only certain kinds of business. Let us see what are the basic kinds. Where there is a personal attention to the customers is required, such as the tailoring, beauty parlor, where the goods are unstandardized like artistic jewelry, and where the modest capital and limited managerial skills are required in case of a retail store. All these business expect only the sole proprietorship. Business wherein the risk of not extensive, that is lesser fluctuation in price and demand. Example, a stationery shop or else a jewelry shop. Not a jewelry shop in a sense, jewelry shop we need to invest more. We need a partnership concern or a public sector or a private sector or whatever it may be. But a small boutique, a small parlor, a small tailoring institute, all this comes under the category of this sole tradership. Let us come back to the next forms of business organization, a private sector or private entity. It is called as a joint Hindu family business. Let us look into the definition of a joint Hindu family business. It is owned by the members of an undivided joint Hindu family and managed by the eldest member of the family, who is called as Karta. So for example, when it is going to be a joint Hindu family business, the head of the family is named as Karta. It is governed by the provisions of Hindu law. The basis of membership is by the birth in a particular family. See, for example, if father is the owner of the business, obviously their son will take over or the elder son will take over the Karta's position after his father's death or whatever it may be. So it will be on basis of the hierarchy or the basis of the birth, it will come as a joint Hindu family business. When you just look into the features of the joint Hindu family business, the first feature is the formation. What is formation? For a joint Hindu family business, there should be at least 2 members in the family and some ancestral property to be inherited by them. The next feature is nothing but the membership by birth. Actually, the membership by birth has been classified into 2 categories. One is the Dayabhaga system and the other one is the Mitakshara system. What is Dayabhaga system? It prevails generally in West Bengal, where both male and female become as a co-partner. So it is called as a co-par censors. Again, I repeat, they are considered to be a co-partner. So it is called as a co-par censors. The next one is a Mitakshara system. It prevails all over India except in West Bengal and allows only the male member to be in charge of the particular property. The next feature is nothing but a liability. What is liability? Liability of the Karta is unlimited, but all other members is limited to the extent of the in the property. So Karta's money alone will be unlimited liability. The people who is around Karta will be having the limited liability. The next comes the continuity. The business is not affected by the death or the incapacity of the Karta. In such cases, the next senior male member becomes a Karta. Obviously, the next person will take over the business. The last but not least feature is minor members. Minor members can also become as a full-fledged member of a family business. It is practically possible in a joint Hindu family business. So the basic features of the joint Hindu family business are formation, membership by birth, liability, continuity, minor partners or minor members can be the part of it. When you just come to the merits of the joint Hindu family business, there are five different things that we need to focus. The merits is the first, we will be having an effective control in a joint Hindu family business. The Karta was promptly take decisions as he is an absolute decision making power. The next, continued business existence. Even after the death of Karta, whatever it may be, the business will not get affected because the next eldest member will take up the position. The next one is the limited liability. The liability of all the members except Karta is limited. It's given them a relief. The next one is a secrecy. A complete secrecy regarding the business decisions can be taken because only one sole proprietor like Karta is going to be the decision maker. The absolute secrecy will be maintained since it is a family business. The last but not least is a loyalty and cooperation. What is the meaning of a loyalty and cooperation? It helps in securing cooperational and greater loyalty from all the members who run the business. Because all are the family members, nobody will, cheat or whatever it may be. The business will run in an effective way. So when you look into the limitation of the joint Hindu family business, the limited capital, there is a shortage of capital as it is limited to the ancestral property. So we can't extend the capital investment more in the case of joint Hindu family business. Next comes under the unlimited liability of Karta. It makes him less enterprising. It means Karta is the only person who is the decision maker. He will be hesitant or reluctant to take more liability because he need to answer for all the business vendors or whomever it may be. Next comes the dominance of Karta. Yes, of course, in every business dominance will be there, but in the sole proprietorship the decision maker is only one person. But in the Karta, it's a joint Hindu family business. It even affects the family's peacefulness in the business. So the Karta manages the business and sometimes he ignores the valuable advice of other members. This may cause a conflict among the members, may lead to the breakdown of the family limit. Yes, of course, I don't want to be in this family. All these things happen in the joint Hindu family business. The last one is the hasty decisions. As Karta is overburdened with work, he may take hasty and unbalanced decisions without having a discussion with other family members. The last one is the limited managerial skills of Karta also pose a serious problem. It means the joint Hindu family business is on decline because of diminishing number of joint Hindu families in the country. Nowadays we don't want to any joint families. We are more fascinated towards the nuclear family and the independency. So obviously the joint Hindu family structure of our India has been declined so lot. So there is a limited managerial skills of Karta. So he is unable to take the decisions to keep up his family in an effective way. So within this we came to the end of the today's day 1 session for chapter 2, forms of business organization. We look into the private sector or private entity. In this, two important aspects have been discussed. One is the sole proprietorship, another one is the joint Hindu family business. Watch the video once again, and if you have any doubts you can clarify. Once again, this is Anandi from Pon Vidhyashram Group of Schools.